It turns truth into lies. Oh, but I won't back down. I must stay on this road. I gotta know what I'm about. It goes up and turns back down. We're all looking for the moment when getting used to not knowing when all the pieces fall in line. Oh, it goes up and turns back down. I keep searching for signs in my dreams back then. I don't know how to stop, 'cause it brings back the feeling that I
Email list, email list, email list. Isn't that what we always hear? Well, you got to grow your email list. But you're like, Jonathan, how do I do that if I don't have any traffic? If I have no email list, how do you get started? What's the fastest way? Well, in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about kind of my secret sauce, something that I've done in the past and others to build their list quickly. And we're going to lay it all out for you. Welcome, everybody. This is the Market Your Message Show. We do this live every single week, and then we take the teaching portion of this and we turn it into a podcast and a YouTube video and a blog post. But you're here live, and later you'll be able to ask me anything. You can ask me questions about today's topic or something else. But before we kind of jump in and get started, let me know that you're here. We've got a lot of people watching from different locations. We're broadcasting this in several different places. So just put your first name, where you're watching from, and I would love to connect with you. Also, if this is your first time joining us live, then just put live in, actually put new. I don't know why I said live. Put new in the chat so I know that, hey, you caught us for the first time. Welcome to everybody that's new here. Okay, so I'm really excited to cover this topic, and what are you gonna discover if you hang out with me for the next little bit? Here's what you're gonna discover: what the Oprah Effect is and why it's so powerful. You're also gonna learn why a virtual summit can build your email list fast. Even if you don't know what a virtual summit is, or it seems way too complicated, we're going to break it all down for you. I'm also going to talk about how you can actually earn money from a virtual summit. So virtual summits are great for building email lists, but did you know you can actually earn money with a virtual summit, hosting a virtual summit? You can, and much, much more. All right. So here's today's question. I thought it'd be fun to just kind of change it up a little bit. Here's today's question. I want you to tell me this in the chat. When you vacation next, it's starting to become spring. I'm in Florida. So when you vacation next, where are you going to go? Let us know in the comments. Or maybe say, I haven't decided yet. I'm a little unsure. Where would you want to go? Let me know. So let me go ahead and say hello to a few people here. We got John here from the UK tuning in. Welcome, John. Joe in Florida with me hanging out. Charles is here from Cincinnati. They still got Skyline Chili in Cincinnati. That's all I remember about Cincinnati. Good old Skyline Chili. All right, let's see. We've got Tom's here from Wooster, Ohio. Glad you're hanging out with us, Tom. Oh, and here you are, actually, right there. Welcome, Tom. We've got Dane Taylor hanging out, and he's new. So welcome. Glad you are hanging out with us today. Jim's here from Destin, Florida. Dave here from Big D. I'm guessing that's Dallas. Everything's bigger in Texas, so that's my stab in the dark. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so I asked the question, where would you vacation next when it's time for you to vacation? So let's see what some of you said here. Charles just came off vacation in the Tennessee mountains. It's always a fun time in the mountains for sure. Let's see. I'm not sure who this is, but somebody over on Facebook says, I just want somewhere with water. Being a travel agent, I see so many options, so it can drive me crazy. I bet that's true for sure. All right. Dane says, plan to stay home for spring break and write. And I love that. As a fellow writer, I absolutely love that. There's nothing like getting lost in your own creativity and your writing. I love it. Charles says, Skyline Chili. Yes, indeed. If you go to Cincinnati, you got to check out Skyline Chili. All right. Looks like we got another person from Cincinnati. There you go. Oh, Jim, I just realized it when I read it off. You said Jim, Destin, Florida, and I thought for a second, I'm like, I thought he was a Hoosier. Indiana, but headed to Destin, Florida. You know, there's a lot of people in Indiana who love going to Destin, Florida. I guess it's because it's a straight shot down. I don't know. But a lot of my friends back in Indiana go over to Destin. Tom says, Treasure Island, Florida. Just love being by water. Yes, beautiful area. France is my next vacation spot, says Dave Jenkins. Yes. I have somebody right here in our community. She's in my insider program. She runs a business, and it's giving special private tours in Paris. Flavorsofparis.com. You should definitely check out what she's up to. All right. Leo's here. Welcome, Leo, from the UK. All right, gang. So glad that you're here. Today's topic is about virtual summits. And so we're just hanging out. This is a little bit of the pre-party. And by the way, if you haven't heard, I have actually officially launched a book. It's been out for a couple months now. Still getting the word out about it. People are loving this book. It's called Your Message Matters, How to Rise Above the Noise and Get Paid for What You Know. I'm actually going to be teaching a little bit from chapter 15 today, so stay tuned for that coming up here. But if you say, hey, I would love a copy of the book, of course, it's available in bookstores everywhere. But by being here, you can actually get a free copy. So as the author, I bought at a discount a couple thousand copies of my own book from my publisher, because I just wanted to get the book out there. So you can actually pay, and I don't make any money on the book. It's actually I break even on it just to get it to you. But if you want a free copy, you can go to marketyourmessage.com/free book. And all you gotta do is pay for shipping, and we'll get you a book. Awesome. And of course, here's a picture, all the fun people. Some of you that are here right now are in this picture that have gotten their free copy as well. All right, so we're going to jump into the actual recorded portion of the show, where we're going to turn this into a podcast, a YouTube video, and a blog post. So just getting ready, got everything ready to go. Here we go. Email list, email list, email list. Maybe you say, Jonathan, I'm tired of people saying grow an email list. I feel like it's the hardest thing in the world to do. How do I do that when I have no traffic? Or I don't want to pay for expensive Facebook ads. Well, if you've had that question, I want to teach you kind of a secret strategy, a secret sauce to building your email list fast, even if right now you have no one on your list. Let's get started. Hey, messengers, welcome to the Market Your Message Show. I'm your host, Jonathan Milligan, and author of the new book, Your Message Matters, How to Rise Above the Noise and Get Paid for What You Know. And in today's episode, I want to talk to you about how to launch a virtual summit. Maybe you've seen these and maybe you've participated in them as a participant, but I'm going to talk to you about what a virtual summit is and how you can use this strategy to build your email list quickly. So here's what you're going to discover in today's episode: what the Oprah Effect is and why it's so powerful, why a virtual summit can build your email list fast, how to earn money with the virtual summit, and much, much more. By the way, if you're just getting started and you're like, Jonathan, I don't even have a blog running or a podcast. I don't even have a website. So where do I get started? Well, we get this question a lot. So I created a 9-page guide that will walk you through the process that we use called the Discover Your Message Blueprint. This is going to help you nail down the 3 most important parts of discovering your message. You need to understand your purpose, people, and passion. And when you combine those 3 things, you will have a powerful business built from your story and experience and passion to create the business you love. All right, so all you got to do to get this is go to marketyourmessage.com/discover. Again, it's marketyourmessage.com/discover. All right, so let's get into today's topic, how to launch a virtual summit. So virtual summits are incredibly powerful. And the reason why I used Oprah just a second ago is I want to explain this idea to you, and I'm going to map it out on my iPad. So if you're listening to the podcast, then come check us out over on YouTube. Just look up my name, Jonathan Milligan, and you can watch this episode. But I'll describe it for you best I can if you're listening on the podcast. So the reason it's called Oprah Effect is because think about it. Was Oprah a celebrity and then started interviewing people on her show? Or did she become a celebrity in the process of interviewing other celebrities? That's the Oprah effect. And so the idea here behind a virtual summit, and this works across any niche, is to take a singular topic that people are interested in your niche. So for example, I started off as a career coach for accounting professionals. That was my first blog. That's how I made my first full-time money online, was in the career coaching space. And so back then, if I'd known about summits, I would have created a summit for accounting careers. So how to level up your accounting career. And then what I would have done is I would have went out and invited people in my space who already have a following of accounting professionals that follow them. Okay. And so by interviewing these people, what's going to happen is the Oprah effect's going to happen, because you're going to be associated with this individual that you're interviewing, the celebrity in your niche, and it's going to create instant credibility and rapport because you are interviewing them. Now, if that doesn't make sense, let's jump over into the iPad and let me show you an illustration. So here we have, I grabbed a snapshot of my ConvertKit account. And as you can see here, it's kind of small, but it's way back in 2016 all the way till now. And what you notice is there's some stair steps that happen here. Now, what this represents is the number of email subscribers on my email list. Notice this jump here. Notice this jump. And then notice one more jump in subscribers. Now, if you're listening on the podcast, basically it's a straight up of number of email subscribers all at one time. And as you can see, these are incredibly powerful when you're building an audience online, that you're able to use this strategy. Now, there's two strategies that you can do to get like overnight success with building your email list. I'm talking thousands of emails. One of them, it's kind of the first one on this graph, was an additional 6,500 email addresses. That was from a virtual summit that I hosted called the Amplify Summit for writers, speakers, and coaches. And so what I did is I went out there and I found influencers who were teaching writers, and I found influencers who were teaching people how to speak, and I found influencers who were teaching people how to coach. And I brought them together to interview them for a free summit that I hosted. And that resulted in 6,500 email addresses in about 10 days. And this is the power of a virtual summit. So what exactly is a virtual summit? Maybe you're still a little bit confused. Let me just do a quick sketch out of what it is. So what you're going to need is you're going to need a page, a landing page on your site that is going to collect an email, and it's going to be about your summit. So you might even have the pictures of the people you're going to be interviewing, things like this. And the summit doesn't cost any money. It's free. And the reason why we want it to be free is because we want to build our email list. So what you do to get a summit going is you need to interview people. So you're going to need to make a list of people that you would like to interview. And when I did this, I used Zoom. And so I would just schedule the interviews, 30-minute interviews, and I would interview other experts who already have gathered together the audience that you want. They already have the audience there, right? And so you interview these experts, and that's kind of step one, all right? Now, here's where the magic sauce begins to happen. These experts all have followings. They have people on their email list. And so about a week or two before the virtual summit, you're going to give them a couple of emails that they can promote to their list. And it's a real simple email like, hey, I was recently interviewed on the Level Up Your Accounting Career Virtual Summit. And you can go watch my talk, and I got a free ticket for you because the event is entirely free. There's over 20 experts sharing how to level up your career. Click here to go join that summit. And here's the cool thing. Let's say, the first expert has 5,000 on their list. The next one has 20,000. Maybe another one has 100,000. But they're all promoting it to your page that you set up on your site. And as people put in their email address, guess what is happening? Your list is growing, just like the chart that I showed you. You get to collect those emails. Now, I shared this strategy. I taught this strategy to somebody in my insider program who had about 150 people on his email list. Now, his niche is in the digital parenting space, how to raise kids in a digital world. And so he put together a summit, did exactly what I'm describing here. And within literally a week, his email list went from 150 to over 1,200 emails. That is the power of doing this strategy. So again, as people put in their email address, they get access to the interviews. And that's where the people you're interviewing are creating all the expertise, the knowledge, the product, and you're just the facilitator. You are Oprah. And as the Oprah effect goes, people on your list will now begin to follow you because they see you as an expert in this niche. Okay, so there's one more piece that I want to share with you because you might be saying, but it seems like there's a lot of moving parts. I want to share with you just a few tips on what to do before, during, and after your virtual summit. Now, this is just going to scratch the surface, but you're going to understand kind of the different pieces to this. All right. So first of all, in the before column, you've got to get organized. This is important because what's going to happen is you get to start by collecting 30 or 50 names of influencers. You got to go research on Amazon, find people who've published books, or find people who have a following or a big following on a podcast or a YouTube channel. You've got to do your research. And so you're going to need a spreadsheet to help keep it organized. And in that spreadsheet, you need to know, have I reached out to them to invite them to my summit? Or I reached out to them and I've heard nothing. I would recommend that you reach out 4 times, once a week over the course of 4 weeks. So not too pushy, but enough to try to get your answer. And what you'll find is a lot of people will say yes. Now you might be wondering, Jonathan, I'm a nobody. Why would somebody say yes? You're asking that, right? But here's the thing. You're the Oprah. You are bringing value, especially when you get your first couple yeses. You can use those names to say, hey, I'm hosting the summit. Here's a few of the other speakers at the summit, and I would love to interview you. And it'll just take 30 minutes of your time. And then everybody collectively is going to be promoting this. And we'll give you exposure about your book or your podcast or your YouTube channel. And that is why people will say yes to this. All right. So you got to get organized. You also got to reach out. So I've already kind of mentioned this, but you got to do the reach out process. I know it's not always the fun thing, but you can absolutely do this. And like I said, I was surprised the first time when I got yeses because I asked some big names that I had no connections with. They didn't know me from anyone. And I'm reaching out to them on a contact form on their website thinking, I don't know if I'll ever get an answer back. And I got yeses. So this is powerful if you do it. And then finally, tools. What are the tools you're going to use? Now, back in the day, about 3 or 4 years ago, when I did my first summit, I used WordPress And then I use Zoom to record the interviews. And then I uploaded them to YouTube, an unlisted YouTube. So it's kind of like a private YouTube link. And I just put the videos on the WordPress pages. You can do that. But there's some new tools these days. For example, there's a paid solution called Hello Summit. And they actually, that's the thing that they do. You can pay, it's really not that expensive to have this software run your entire summit. But you got to choose your tools. All right, let's talk about during your virtual summit. What do you need to be doing? Well, the main thing is going to be the email invites. Now, this is going to be obviously to your list. Now, even though this is under the during column, it's really about a week out. I would recommend about a week out, maybe 2 weeks at the most, that you start letting people opt in your page to grab their free ticket to the summit. But this next part is the key to making this whole thing work. And that is the influencer. They're the influencer list. So after you interview them, about a couple weeks before, you want to send them a pre-written email that you've already written for them. And it needs to say something like, I got your free ticket. Hey, I was recently interviewed for the Level Up Your Accounting Career Summit, and I'm one of 20 speakers. Here's a list of some of the other speakers there. The cool part is I was able to get you a free ticket. It's entirely free. Just click here to go claim your ticket. You can watch my interview and all the other experts as well. That's simple. And give them 2 or 3 variations they can send to their list. Okay. And then the last thing is the actual summit emails. So even though you've pre-recorded these videos, you are going to launch them like they are live. So if the summit is 5 days, Monday through Friday, on Monday, you're going to be releasing, let's say, 3 speakers. And so on Monday morning, you need to send an email to everybody who has opted into your virtual summit and say, hey guys, here's today's lineup. The videos, the interviews are ready to go watch. We've got this expert talking about this topic, this expert about this topic, and this expert about this topic. And you want to communicate and get them consuming this. That's so very important because you want them to get value out of this. But here's the key. Only make these available to watch for 48 hours. Only make it available to watch for 48 hours. Now, the only reason why you want to do this is if you plan to sell these interviews. And that is an option that I'm going to talk about in just a second. This is how you make money from a virtual summit. Because you can say, hey, listen, these are available to watch for the first 48 hours. That means the Monday interviews can be watched until Wednesday, and then they get put in the vault, and so on and so forth, however long your summit is. But if you want to sell it, you must put them in the vault because they've got to watch it or they've got to buy it to get access to all of them. Because as you release these, they may not be able to sit there and watch all of them every day. So at some point they're going to like, man, this is so good. I just want to get I just want to have these recordings. And that brings me to after. So this is where you can consider to do an all access pass. Now you can sell this during the summit. In fact, I recommend that you do. And here's what you do. You say, hey, right now as this summit's going on, you can get lifetime access to all these recordings for $197. But once the summit is over, that price is going up to $297. So it creates a little bit of urgency. And then after the summit, you now have a product that you can sell. This strategy I was talking about with the person in my insider program who did the virtual summit for his parenting niche. He made, I think, well over $1,500 just selling the recordings. And he had no product before that. So it's pretty awesome. And then here's one other tip that I want to give you because this is powerful too. If you have a desire to launch an online course or a membership site or a coaching program, then this is where the magic happens. You want to launch 2 to 4 weeks after this summit. So the summit brings in all the emails. People get value from all of the experts, and now they are on your email list. And about 2 to 4 weeks later, you present your offer, your course, your membership site, your coaching program, because you have gathered together a targeted audience. So there you have it. Those are the steps of launching a virtual summit. I hope that you've got a great overview now of what a virtual summit's all about and how you can grow your list quickly by doing one of these. Is it work? Yes. What it's not is expensive. It's not expensive. You do have to put in some time into it. It depends on how many experts you want to do. I think I had 30, which is a lot. My goal was 15, but I kept getting more yeses, so I extended it an extra week and did 30. But you can do as little as 5. Just know that usually the less number that you interview, the less results you're going to get. All right, so that's it for this episode. I hope this was truly helpful to you. And if you're wondering, well, I'm just trying to get started, don't forget about our 9-page kind of get started guide for starting an online business. It's called the Discover Your Message Blueprint. Go to marketyourmessage.com/discover, and you can get this 9-page blueprint to help you decide the right business to start. Okay, so that's it for this episode. Thank you for always being here. Many of you are watching, listening every single episode. If you've got some ideas of what you'd like for me to cover on future episodes, let me know. And also, take a moment right now and like, share, or subscribe, or even review our show so that we know you want us to create more content like this. All right, until then, never forget, your message matters. Okay, so if you're still here live, stay with me because I want to answer some questions. This is now the after party. We'll use the rest of what I just taught to become a later podcast, YouTube, and blog post. But was that helpful? Let me know in the comments. Do you have a better idea of what virtual summits are all about? I am curious. Let me know. Right. I'm going to take some questions. So here's what I want you to do. If you got questions about a virtual summit, maybe there was a piece of it that you like, I want to know a little bit more, or I'm a little bit confused about this. Now's the time to ask. I'd love to do that. So put a Q in front of your question and we'll answer some questions today. All right. So I'm looking through the questions coming in and some of the comments here. And it doesn't have to be about virtual summits. If you got a question, like I got a question I've been dying to ask it. It could be about anything: traffic, email list, creating content, whatever would be helpful for you. I'm going to hang around just for a few minutes. And that's why it's a benefit of being here live. The podcast listeners don't get this kind of access. Neither do YouTube viewers or blog post readers. Okay. Let's see here. All right, lots of great comments here. Joe Jenkins says, I have that book. I think talking about my new book. Says Dan Miller recommends it. Yeah, Dan is actually on the back cover. So Dan's, can't see that because of the glare, but Dan's right there on the back as one of the people who endorsed the book. All right. Oops, let's see here. Jenny's here. Welcome, Jenny. Glad that you're here. Hope you are doing well. Tanisha's here as well. Hey, Tanisha, glad that you're here. Tom says, good stuff. Awesome, Tom. Glad it's helpful. This is a great question, Floyd. Do the individuals that get interviewed ask to be paid? No. If they do, then they're probably not the right person for you because they misunderstood the whole thing, right? So typically if somebody's asking to get paid for the interview, to me that says they don't understand, they're not the right person. Like they totally don't get this. It's just free publicity, just like anybody asking for an interview. So the answer to that would be, I don't worry about that. Okay. Floyd says, really love virtual summits because they introduce me to new people and add so much value. Yeah, a little story that I think is really, really cool is my virtual summit that I did 4 years ago. There is a lady, Jody V, who's now my director of coaching. She originally found me because she was on Dan Miller's email list. I interviewed Dan Miller for my virtual summit. She, at the time, was just trying to figure out kind of her next thing. What did she want to do? And the summit that I held like opened her eyes to like the online world, that I could have an online business. And she showed me once this journal that was literally like completely filled up from taking notes from all the interviews. And so that's what's so powerful about this is you don't have to be the expert. You're Oprah, but you're getting access to people who have such great knowledge that it provides so much value for the person who is attending that. So much so that Jody followed me, stuck with me, started buying my courses, got into my insider program, launched her business, and now I've hired her to run my director of coaching for my insider program. That's pretty cool. All right. What other questions we got here? Brianna says, thank you, Jonathan. That was actually just what I needed right now. Awesome. Love it. So here's something cool. Now, this is, if you're watching live right now, if you're watching this later, it's already going to be past. But one of the things I do in my insider program is once a quarter, we do a deep dive on an important part of growing an online business. And so I asked a couple months ago, I asked around and asked my insiders, kind of let them vote on what do you want me to cover or do a deep dive on. And the thing that they most wanted to do was virtual summits. So here's what's cool. This Saturday, I am doing with my insider program. Now, if you're not familiar with insiders, these are people in my private mentoring program. And so they are going to do with me, I am going to be teaching them for about 4.5 to 5 hours. So an entire one-day event this Saturday, all about virtual summits. I'm going to be giving them email templates, a spreadsheet to get organized, a walkthrough of how to do this. How do you send an email that an influencer will say yes to? And what emails do you give the influencer to get them to actually promote you to their list, right? And what emails do you send during it? How do you sell it? So we're going to cover all that in a one-day workshop. And so here's something I've never done before. I may never do it again. I'm just experimenting with this. I've done probably somewhere around 8 to 12 of these boot camps just for people in my insider program, and never have I invited somebody outside of the program to join me. But if you're watching this and you're like, virtual summits is the thing I want to do, and you want it like all, my emails, how I did my copy, the spreadsheet that I use to stay organized, all of it, I'm going to invite just people in my community to attend this. Now, we're not going to be able to take a lot of people, so we're only going to extend this probably to a handful of people. And so I will post this. I'll actually send an email out about it soon. And I'm doing this on the fly. Okay. We did put something together earlier because I thought, you know what? I may do an invite. But here's what I'm going to do, because I'm doing this live with all of you. If you have an interest in this, then I'm going to share the link and take this down a little bit so you can see it. And again, I wasn't prepared to talk about this today, but I think you guys sound like this could be something potential that could be helpful to you. So if somebody wants, they can post this link. I'm unable to do it right now because, again, this is being broadcast in 6 locations. But I'll leave this up for a second. You can open up another tab and type this in. And this is private. We're not sharing this publicly other than people watching right now. This is about as public as we get if you're watching the live stream. But marketyourmessage.com virtual-summit-bootcamp. So virtual-summit-bootcamp. And basically what I'm doing is I'm allowing you the opportunity. Now there is a fee involved. But for a handful of people that want to join me this Saturday from 11 a.m. Eastern to about 4:30 Eastern, we're going to do a boot camp. Now, these boot camps are awesome, and here's why. Here's what we do at the boot camp. I teach for about 20 minutes. We're all in a Zoom room, like a Zoom meeting. I teach for about 20 minutes. Then I give you a personal exercise for 10 minutes. So you actually just heard me teach it. Now you're doing it. Whether that's researching, I just showed you how to research to find experts, and you're collecting names in the spreadsheet, or you're working. So this boot camp, you do work. You're just not sitting there listening to a 6-hour webinar, okay? So this is very interactive. You will walk away with stuff already done. Then after you do your personal exercise, we divide everybody up into mastermind groups for about 15 minutes to talk about the thing you just worked on. And we have coaches that are in each of the Zoom rooms to facilitate the discussion. And you can get some amazing feedback from peers in these. And so we do that rotation about 5 times with breaks and lunch in between. It's awesome. So again, I may never offer this again. My insiders are excited about it. A lot of them are already in, they're signed up, ready to go. But if you're interested in that, you can get more information. I've got a little video there that I share explaining more. Just go to marketyourmessage.com virtual-summit-bootcamp. Sorry for the long link, but I'll leave it up long enough for you to check it out. All right. Let's see. What other questions we got here? Any other summit platforms you'd recommend? And this is from Tom. So, Tom, Hello Summit's one. The other one that people in my insider program have used is Kajabi. So Kajabi has a virtual summit pipeline is what they call it, but really it's funnels. And you literally click the button and it creates the entire thing inside Kajabi. So if anybody here has Kajabi, you may not know that it's in there. I think when you're in pipelines, you actually scroll back a little bit, and what you want to do is, I think there's like legacy pipelines. It's kind of hidden, but it's there for a virtual summit. All right. Let's see. Fred, how do you recommend sourcing out prospective candidates to interview on the summit? Great question here. So the easiest way, if you're going to outsource this for people, to somebody to fill in the spreadsheet for you, you're probably going to want to create a video showing them what you're expecting. Okay. So I'll give you an example. right now, one of the things I'm doing to try to get word out about my new book is to get on 100 podcasts this year. So I've had a chance to already be on like the Zig Ziglar show. I just did an interview for Entrepreneur on Fire that's going to come out in May. And so what I did was I created a spreadsheet, much like virtual summits that I did for Virtual Summit. And then I have a particular criteria that I'm looking for. And so I like to use loom.com. It's a quick way to create videos that you can send to other people. So what I did was I just recorded myself explaining how I wanted them to research podcast on iTunes and to get information on which, and basically in the spreadsheet, like how many reviews has this podcast had, how many episodes have they done, to give me a sense of an idea of, is this a podcast I even want to pursue? So you want to gather together some information like that or create a spreadsheet, and then I would record a video explaining it and then give it to somebody else to go create it. Now, what you probably want to do is decide how many people you want to have on your virtual summit. So if you say, I want to have 15 people, I would have at least 30. You could go more, but what happened to me was I said, I want to have at least 15. So I think I created like 50 names and I ended up having 30 say yes. And I was like, I just kept doing more interviews and I was literally interviewing people when the summit was happening because the summit lasted for 2 weeks. So hope that helps. Dane, how many weeks in advance should you contact the experts before the virtual summit? So for me, this was a little crazy. I think I decided to do one. So at the beginning of the year in January, I started reaching out. And it was like second week in February is actually when we went live. That was probably a little difficult. So I'd give it a little bit more space. I like the idea of you don't want to do it too far out because you want them to remember you and promote your thing, your summit. But I would say start about 60 days out. That way it gives you 30 days to do the interviews and then you still have 30 days before it goes live. So I wouldn't go any more out than 60 days, but that's what I would do. Mine was about 6 weeks out, and I wish I would have gotten started maybe a couple weeks sooner. Because some people, they might want to do it, but they can't do it for a few weeks. So you got to think about that. Jeff, how long would you plan for this to take from the start to the end of the summit? I guess I kind of answered that just now. Yeah, I would say all in all about 60 days. So I would see it as like a quarterly, I like to set 90-day quarterly goals. So you could absolutely do this in a quarter. So yeah, because it might take a couple weeks of sending follow-up emails to get people to say yes, and you still want to have time. So 60, 90 days beginning to end. I did mine in 6 weeks. Again, it was a little crazy. Jim says, I'm so bummed. I'll be visiting my daughter at Liberty University this weekend. Yeah, and as you know, my daughter's at Liberty. She's actually flying home today. So she's going to be coming home and finishing up with some of the Easter, she's got classes online that she still got to do. But yeah, we're excited about seeing her, as I know you are about your daughter. I don't know if this will make a difference for you, Jim, but I think I saw a question about this as well. And that's if this is going to be recorded. So if you purchase this and let's say you can't be there the whole time or, whatever, yes, we will be recording it. So if you decide to join us for this virtual summit bootcamp this Saturday, you'll get the 5 hours of recordings. You'll still get the workbook. You'll get the email templates. You'll get the spreadsheet to get this all organized. So yes, you'll get all of that as, one of the benefits is being live, but the other benefit is getting the content and getting the tools needed to pull this off. Joanne, any update on Marketing Message Live event in Jekyll Island? yeah, Joanne, you kind of blew the secret. Next week, we are going to be announcing it. Shh. No, next week, we are announcing that Your Message Matters Live, the 2-day in-person event, is a go. So, Jekyll Island Convention Center, Jekyll Island, Georgia. If you've never been to Jekyll Island, it's awesome. The convention center is right on the beach. So, yay to the beach, right? So, the convention center is right on the beach. Right next to the convention center is it's only about 5-6 years old, is the Beach Village. It's got restaurants, little boutique shops, and then right next to that is about 3 or 4 hotels. So literally, once you're there, you don't even need a rental car. You've got the convention center, you got all the food and shopping and the hotels all right there on the beach. It's going to be June 18th and 19th, a Friday, Saturday. We have not updated the page just yet, but next week we're going to give a super early bird discount just next week only. That's going to be several $100s off the ticket. And in case you're asking, we are attempting to offer both in-person and virtual. So we know for some people they're still unable to travel. But we also know, I know a lot of my people in my insider program are dying to get together in person. So we're going to do it. And so I'd love for you to come, like bring your spouse, bring kids. It is a vacation destination. You can certainly stay for a few extra days so you can learn and enjoy the island. There's bike riding. There's historical tours to take. There's the beach there. There's a lot to do. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So come join us. Next week, I will announce that. And I'll probably do it right here on the show. So be back next week. All right. Dane, do you have any connections to children's authors? Not directly off the top of my head. I do know people who teach how to write children's books. But I'm not sure. Here's the other thing. If you go check out Hey Summit, I didn't say this earlier, but Hey Summit actually has an influencer directory. What that means is you can go look up by niche experts who like to be interviewed on virtual summits. And guess what else you can do? You can add your own name to that list. So you could actually be interviewed on a summit and have the benefit of being a featured speaker. So go to Hey Summit, talks all about it. All right. Joanne says, oh, sorry to spoil your thunder. Nah, you're fine. I was just messing around. I'd love for all of you to come. It's going to be so much fun hanging out for 2 days in person. Dane, thank you for all your wisdom and information. You are welcome. Tom, woohoo, I want a ticket on a book launch, so I hope I can actually make it live. Yeah, we'd love to have you, Tom. For sure. All right. Well, hey, let's do some takeaways. So what is your takeaway? Just put in the capital letter T. Start off your sentence with the capital letter T. Give me your takeaway. The high school teacher in me never wants you to leave the site of learning without applying what you just learned. So maybe it was a tool I shared. Maybe it was an idea. Maybe it was a thought. Maybe it was something unrelated to virtual summits. What's one single takeaway you're going to take away from being here today that you're going to use? You're going to go apply. So put that in, T for takeaway. Let me know what that is. And again, last time, if you want to join me for this private boot camp that I've only ever done to those in my high ticket private mastermind, we're going to let a few people kind of experience what it's like being in the insider program by going to marketyourmessage.com virtual-summit-bootcamp. And there you can buy a ticket to hang out with us on Saturday. And yes, get the recordings and the workbook and the templates and the spreadsheets, all that stuff. All right. Well, gang, I think that's all that I see here. Waiting for a few takeaways, but I know my video is a little bit delayed, so I'm just looking right here, making sure I didn't miss a question. A lot of great questions today. Awesome. All right, gang. So, hey, that is it. Thank you guys for being here today. Come back, put it on your schedule. Every Wednesday, 1 o'clock, you're going to be here because every week you're going to learn something new. You're going to grow in your knowledge. You might be one idea away from a breakthrough. That's why you need to show up so you can show out for other people. All right. Take care, everybody. Hope you have a great Wednesday. We'll talk with you soon. Bye-bye.